Hey everyone, it's 10 Types, and today I'm going to be talking about a bunch of new reveals we got here, taking a look at PokeBeach, which has it's a really awesome news website, and we're going to be looking at, as I said, a lot of new cards, including some new Stellar Pokemon EX, one of which was leaked, so I'm just going to talk about that one pretty briefly. And by the way, I will be talking about a bunch of new cards on the podcast this coming week, so stay tuned for that, or I'll go a bit more in depth. This is more of a quick video, though we'll see how quick it actually is, but yeah, starting off with Lydian here, or Lydian, I don't know how to pronounce this Pokemon. It's a stage 1 here, with its ability Sparkling Star Pattern, with its ability on play that says when you evolve this Pokemon from your hand during your turn, you may switch in one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with 90 HP or less into the active spot, and that's pretty good. Buddy Buddy Poffin, really good card right now, and Pokemon like Curlia, Dracoloak, Charmeleon. There isn't 100 HP Charmeleon, but generally these Pokemon see a lot of play, and when your opponent's trying to set up, gusting them up and knocking them out could be really powerful. Additionally, if you do play some type of deck that's going to be hitting the bench and not one-shotting them, then you could do this to, say, hit I don't know. I honestly can't think of a lot of Pokemon you can snipe in the bench because a lot of the high HP Pokemon are like Dragapult EX, Charizard EX, and like the Ogerpons and stuff, and they're all Terra EXs and they're immune to bench damage. But if you are somehow sniping them and getting them down to 90 HP, then you want to gust them up and knock them out, you can use Lydian for this. It's an on-play ability. It does have free retreat as well, and it has a usable attack, but not that good. I think this Pokemon will end up seeing some play, although not a ton. It's an okay card. It's not like a great card because it's only useful in certain scenarios and it's completely useless in others. And even when it is useful, it's only useful that one turn and then more or less useless the rest of the game. The free retreat could be nice, but it depends what you're playing. In some decks, you already have a free retreater, or you have like essentially free access to rescue board if you're like playing for Arvin and your Pokemon all have one retreat cost. You should just toss in the rescue board, and then Lydian almost has no value, but as a pivot. So. Still, I think a really solid card. I think it will end up seeing some play. I don't know how much we'll see. If we get like a level ball reprinted, this card will be insane. But right now, it's okay. There's also bug catching set to get grass Pokemon. Oh, also, sorry, my allergies are acting up yet again. Next up, we got Zeraora from Stellar Miracle here. Yeah, this one has 120 HP, 1 retreat. Sometimes receive free retreaters. This one unfortunately doesn't have that, but Lightning Colorless does 20 and 20 more for each opponent's bench Pokemon. This isn't that good, to be honest, but Zeraora's just somehow always like C play. Not always, but commonly. There was the one from Silver Tempest and the one from Vivid Voltage, and they saw play. Well, the Silver Tempest one's still in standard and still sees him play in like Miraidon. That's really where I saw play, but it's not like that good, but it still saw play. So, and it did see play because it had free retreat that one. So I think Zeraora is like this isn't like that good, but you know. Oh, also it could see play, and also this art is like so. I love this art. Um, Definitely one of my favorite. I'm not usually like a massive fan of the what are these illustration rares or whatever they're called, but I think this one's really cool. And yeah, it might end up seeing some play. We'll see. It's kind of like a like Pachirisu for your opponent. Pachirisu like the bench damage calculator one. So this is okay. It's not that good, but it might see play. Next we got Cinderace EX. I'm just going to talk about this one pretty briefly because we talked about it in the leaks video and it did end up being true. But it has 2 attacks, Flare Strike, Fire Colorless, 280 during your next turn. This Pokemon can't use Flare Strike, so that's pretty good. 280 is a lot of damage. 3 energy is a little awkward, but it's payable. You can do double Turbo plus Magma Basin, reducing you to 260, which isn't an amazing feeling, but it might be okay. And there are also there's a lot of support for Stellar Pokemon, or Terra EXs, but some of them aren't really Stellar Pokemon. So there's energy acceleration options. I think I'm one that likes to take extra prizes. There's like bench support for lack of a better term, and there's just a bunch of stuff, and it's really good. So playing a Terra Pokemon, especially a Stellar one, has benefits. And then Garnet Valley here, Fire Fighting Darkness. It does 180 to one of your opponent's Pokemon. It also has Free Retreat here, and which is good for the Flash Strike, not being able to attack next turn thing. But then the Garnet Valley attack does not cause you to discard energy, which is normally what you'd see on an attack like this. But then, of course, it is very expensive, or at least very awkward to pay. Fire Fighting Darkness. There is Infernape from I think Twilight Masquerade, but that could be the wrong set. And then the Darkness, you can just attach Infinite both accelerate the fire and fighting from your hand. But that's still a little awkward. But we do have Earthen Vessel to search out the energies and energy retrieval or whatever. So I think this card is all right. It's solid. Of the four sellers we've seen so far, the four that were leaked that are coming in Stellar Crown, Trapicos EX is probably the best, and Galvantula and Lapras are like underwhelming, I'd say. And then I think Cinderace EX is solid. Not amazing, not as good as Trapicos, but it's still solid. So I'm looking forward to seeing these. Cinderace is a cool Pokemon. I guess it has had some cool cards, but I think they're pretty much all rotated now. But Cinderace EX is a pretty cool Pokemon that I think we'll see play. I don't know how much play it'll see, but as I said, I've talked about it before as well. Next up, we got Togedemaru, and then we also have Drifloon and Drifblim. Drifloon isn't interesting, but Drifblim here is really interesting with everyone explode now. Like, what is that attack name? But anyways, 130 HP, which does matter a lot. By the way, the Drifloon, this one has 70, but the other one that people play in Gardevoir does 30 for each damage counter attached to it for 2 psychic, or sorry, damage counter on it for 2 psychic energies. And the Drifloon here, it has 130, and its attack has a 50 times multiplier for each of your Drifloon and Drifloon you have in play. Of course, Drifblim evolves from Drifloon, so you're probably not going to have more than 4. I don't really know if it's possible. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I'm sure there's some way, but it's got to be super weird. But it does work for the basic. It's not like it only does 50 for each Drifblim you have in place. You're really only doing 150 at best. But this will be doing 200, which is pretty good for one Psychic on stage 1. But then it says you also do 30 to each of your Drifloon and Drifblim in play. That's not exactly ideal. It's not terrible. Well, okay, so Drifblim's HP will go down to 100, then to 70, and then it'll go down to 40. So not great, but you're at least out of the range of like Monkey Dory, even after you've damaged yourself 3 times. So, it's not that bad. It's not that rough. And then damaging your Drifloons, they only have 70 HP, but there's the one, as I said, that does extra damage for each damage counter on it. So let's say you attack this twice. Drifloon will then have 10 HP, which is obviously not a lot. But with that, and by the way, you could apply HP buffs, but I don't know if that's probably not worth it. But Drifloon then have 10 HP, but it'll have 60 damage on it, or 6 damage counters. Multiply that by 30, so you're hitting 180. On top of this, 200 with Drifblim. I mean, this is just like really strong. I think the Drifloon will be like mediocre in the deck because you really need an extra energy attachment, which will be hard to get, and you can't really use Gardevoir EX. I mean, you kind of can, but you probably want Bravery Charm then. So or Luxurious Cape or like Hero's Cape or whatever, something to boost your HP because you can't accelerate energies to knock yourself out. That's obviously bad because you're knocking yourself out and you just can't do it anyways. So I don't know if the Drifloon will be super good, but I think the Drifloon is solid, and I don't think you need to be worried about using the Drifloon. I've heard a lot of talk about this card with the Drifloon, but I think Drifloon by itself is all right as like a rogue deck, I guess. It's not like great. Spread is a little scary for you because you are damaging yourself, and your damage output it's okay. I mean, it's pretty good. I think the like 200 for one's pretty good. Also, if you prize a Pokemon like a Drifloon, that'll be bad. There's just doing Heavy Ball, but it still isn't good. So well, doing Heavy Ball is good, but prizing one is still a bit of an issue. So Drifblim though, I think it's a solid card. And then Togedemaru here, Lightning for one Lightning it does 30, and if your opponent has exactly one prize remaining, your opponent's active is now paralyzed. This is kind of like I think Dene from I don't remember. That card wasn't very good, but this is all right. Paralysis is like awkward to get out of. It means they can't attack or retreat next turn, and they can like play a switch card, but that'll remove it. But it's still pretty awkward. As for certain decks, if you're looking at a deck like Gardevoir EX, they might struggle a lot. They do have Professor Turret's scenario though. A lot of decks do run like 1 or 2 switch, and so if you are a deck that's taxing their resources throughout the course of the game, then this will be really good, and you might just be able to paralyze like forever until you just win, or not necessarily win, but at least knock out their active. If you're in a close game, then you'll probably win at that point. So this is interesting, as you could just paralyze over and over and over again, which is really good. I think this card is actually pretty solid. It's pretty niche though. It's only good if you're able to like remove your opponent's switches before the end of the game, and also be taking prizes. So you could put this with something like Luxray EX, um, or I don't know what else, to be honest. I feel like Luxray EX. It needs to be a prize taking deck. And okay, technically you could try to attach two double turbos to it in addition to the lightning energy, and then you're doing no damage, which is like an option, I guess. And then you just trap them there forever. That seems pretty bad. I mean, like you then need to make your deck infinite on top of that, and they can't of course have any switch, and you're attaching two double turbos, which is a lot. I mean, so that's and a lightning, so that's pretty awkward. Um, you can attach the double turbos after you start attacking, but like this card seems super sketchy. I think it's a fun card. I might mess around with it, but it's a little weird. Next we got another really weird card. Oh, I do want to talk about another card that was revealed. I've talked about it before, but that's Gravity Stone. I'm gonna bring it up with Antique Root Fossil, believe it or not. But we got Lily, which evolves from Antique Root Fossil, and Cradily. Um, the Lily it stops them from retreating for one grass, but it's 50. So if you want to trap them forever and not do damage, you actually need um, three double turbos on. So yeah, the Lily's not very good, but it has use cases. But then Cradily here has the ability Mucus Buffet. Once during your turn, you may flip a coin. If heads, choose burn, confused, or poisoned, and that your opponent's active is now affected by that special condition. And it does for one grass 100 times multiplier for each special condition on your opponent's active. But it is a stage 2 that evolves from a fossil. Fossils are generally more awkward to get out than basics. It depends on the format, but in the current standard format, they are more awkward by a notable amount. It's not like they're unplayably bad. I mean, generally the fossil Pokemon are bad, but it's not like the fact that they're fossils is the reason they're bad. Most of them are just not good, except for Archeops, which sees play, but this way to get it in play without the fossil, it's weird. But Cradily, this is like pretty solid. I mean, if you burn, confuse, and poison, and then you attack, and you do 300 plus the burn plus the poison is just a knockout. So that's pretty good. There are, of course, other ways to uh, inflict special conditions on your opponent. There is the card. I think someone mentioned it in the comments here. Um, it's the like laser card. I don't remember what it's called. I can't see. Um, Laser plant crab. Okay, I don't remember. It's like some laser card. I don't even know if we know the official translation. It's coming in the mini set Shrouded Fable. So it I think it burns and it might just burn and poison. I don't even remember. But it does like oh no, I think it's like burn and confuse. So then you can like poison them with Brute Bonnet. So then you're just one-shotting anything with that. But that's also your ace spec, so you can only do that once. Um, I think this is okay. It's kind of reliant, of course, on that coin flip, but I think Cradily is interesting. It's like a mediocre like rogue deck, honestly. It's not that bad, but it's not that good either. But then we have Antique Root Fossil, which is actually really cool. I've always been like kind of obsessed with the fossil cards. Um, so we got well since we've like seen um the ones that like Aerodax Amber, but like the Antique Old Amber and Helix, Anti-Helix Fossil and Anti-Dome Fossil, I think, which have like abilities, which is cool. There's a lot of stuff going on. So there are 63 basic colorless Pokemon. By the way, do these Pokemon have retreat costs? I was like looking at that and I didn't know, which I'm going to bring up in just a moment. I know it says they can't retreat, but do they actually have a retreat cost number? Like, what if they're being hit by something that calculates damage based on retreat cost? How much damage do they take? Anyways, it can't be affected by special conditions either. And then at any time during your turn, you would just discard this from play. So it's kind of like a pivot. It's a pretty bad pivot, but it's like it is a pivot. There might be times when you use it as a pivot, but Primal Roots is the ability as long as this Pokemon's in the active. Your opponent's basic Pokemon's attacks cost one colorless more. That is so bad to deal with if you're like a Future Box style deck, Ancient Box. It's horrible. And other things. So like Ancient Box, all their attacks are 2 energy, ignoring Flutter Mane, which is 3, but then it shuts off the ability. So they're well, the main attack is going to be Roaring Moon, and then they might have Koraidon. I guess they might have Walking Wake, but that's a pretty bad attacker. So assuming they're trying to attack with Roaring Moon, that's 2 energies, the single prizer, and then you have this in the active, it has 3 energies, and that's much more awkward. They can't power that up on one turn, really, assuming they're not playing Dark Patch, which yeah, that's probably with the EX then, but so then they're sitting there and they're like, not able to attack, they're going to struggle much more. And then you can like boss them around. And then, you may be thinking if you're gusting them around, they can just retreat. But then you can do the Tool Guard Gravity Stone, which I talked about before, and is coming, I believe, the same set. And if this Pokemon is in the active, or the Pokemon this card is attached to is in the active because it's a tool, the retreat cost of both active Pokemon is one colorless more, which this is where I asked the question, what's the retreat cost of Antique Root Fossil or when it's in play? Because if it's being increased by one, it needs to start at some value. It doesn't matter because you're not actually retreating, but if your opponent's doing some weird attack or I don't know, I just want to know. But then this is pretty cool, I guess. I like control, so like stick this in the active, assuming they're a basic deck. Or if they play like basic Pokemon, if you're looking at like a deck like I don't know, Charizard EX came into my mind. They sometimes play NTV, and you can gust up NTV. It attacks for 2 energies, but then they need to pay an extra energy, and then the retreat cost is increased. So now they're just kind of like stuck there, and that's really awkward. And if they do commit the 3 energies to do it, then you gust up something else. So this is a strategy with control that I think is often ignored because people think, oh, you trap a Pokemon in the active that they can never attack with because they don't play the necessary energy, like Radiant Greninja in a Gardevoir deck. They only play Psychic Energy. It's a water Pokemon with water energy. They can never attack with it. But against Gardevoir, you could gust up Drifloon, and then gust up Screamtail, and then gust up Gardevoir EX, and then they will accelerate energies to all their different Pokemon, and then just run out. So you could do that strategy with Antique Root Fossil, where they eventually just run out of energies that they can, that they have. And it's even worse now that they have to accelerate extra energies potentially to actually, fulfill their attack costs. So I think Antique Root Fossil is a really cool card. May be annoying, right? Because it's like control, but I think it's a pretty cool card and my favorite fossil so far. Next, we got Stellar Sylveon EX and Stellar Ceruledge EX. By the way, we might be getting 2 Stellar Sylveon EXs. I'm pretty sure we're getting 2 Sylveon EXs. I'm not sure if the other, or Terra, probably not Stellar, but I think the other one's going to be just a Terra Sylveon EX. We'll see though. And by the way, there are a bunch of cards revealed. There was this card, which looks like Switch card, kind of. This card, which I don't know what this is. This card, which looks like a hammer card. Um, let's see. Um, and some other cards. So I don't like recognize these cards. I think they're not all new. Like Mimikyu, that's not new. But I'm looking forward to seeing these cards, and I was hoping they'd be revealed and like translated by now, because that you can't read these like at all. But you kind of can, but it's really hard. I certainly can't. I can't read Japanese, but they haven't been fully revealed, so they'll be revealed probably within the next week, I gotta imagine. So I'll be doing another video on those. But Sylveon EX, Terra Pokemon, so immune to bench damage, same thing with Ceruledge. They do both stay their same types. They are stellar Pokemon though, which have stayed their same types, but then they have their like I guess stellar attacks. The ones are a bunch of different energy types. So Magical Charm though, this is a moderately interesting attack. Psychic Colorless 160 during your points next turn. Attacks from the defending Pokemon do 100 less damage. This is okay. It's not anything special. 160 damage output is like mediocre to underwhelming. And the effect of the attack here, if you're hitting into a Pokemon and not knocking them out, them doing 100 less is like really good, but if you just knock them out, it doesn't matter, right? So you're going to be knocking out Pokemon with this attack sometimes. It's not like that bad, but it's not that special. But then Angelite here for Water, Lightning, Psychic. Choose 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon and shuffle them and all cards attached to them into their opponent's deck. But if you use Angelite during your last turn, this attack fails. This is really interesting. You can't use it back-to-back turns. We've seen things like this. We saw, I think, Cavern Tackle. Is that the attack on Tracheon? I might be thinking of the wrong Tracheon, to be honest. But there's a Tracheon that can't attack back-to-back turns, and because it's like invincible, essentially. So, Sylveon EX removes your opponent's bench Pokemon, 2 of them, and you choose. This is like really brutal, and you can use Iron Bundle to send their active to the bench, or of course you could Boss's Orders. If you just have one Pokemon that you want out of play, which is their active, you can Iron Bundle. But if there's 2 Pokemon you want out of play, one on their bench, one on their active, they're just going to send up the one on the bench that you want to get out of play. So, so you could Boss Orders like a 3rd one. This is potentially really good. It's Water, Lightning, Psychic. That's pretty awkward. I'm not actually really sure how to power that one up at all. There are ways to accelerate. There aren't great ways to accelerate lightning to not lightning Pokemon, but you could use the like Zadu and like Excalibur or something. That seems pretty bad though. As I said, with the Cinderace EX, there is Terra support though, so you could use like the Ace Spec, the supporter, um, and Zadu, I guess. You could do those three and probably end up with something pretty solid there. And you could use double Turbo Energy for the first attack as well. I don't think this Pokemon's super good, but it's kind of fun. The second attack's really powerful if you're able to just like pop it off in one turn where your opponent's not really expecting it. So it's pretty interesting to be honest, but I don't know exactly how good it is. Then we got Ceruledge EX here with Fire, no, what's it? Abyssal Flames, 30 base damage for one fire, and it does 20 more for each basic energy in your discard pile. I don't really know how good this card is. That multiplier is not very high, but let's say you're trying to do 70, you just need 2 basic energy in this card. You're trying to hit like 110 for Cramorant, and then you need 4 basic energy in the discard. But then you're trying to hit Charizard and knock that out, and then you need I think 14 basic energies in this card. But that is like kind of doable. It's really hard because you need one on the active as well. Essentially, there's a tool to avoid that, but yeah, that's a lot of energies. So you're probably not one-shotting Charizard EXs. You could try to build your deck towards that though, but certainly one-shotting, hitting like 200 is like kind of doable. It's awkward. Certainly hitting like two-shotting everything though is very doable, right? Getting like 6 or 7 energies in the discard. Then you're pretty much two-shotting everything. So that's pretty good. I think this card's all right, that first attack. And then Amethyst Rage, actually pretty generic attack for Fire, Psychic, Metal, 280, discard all energy from this Pokemon. That's decent, but not that good. Also, they both have 2 retreat. So, it's oh, by the way, Sylveon EX is weak to metal because it's fairy, and then of course, Ceruledge EX, a fire Pokemon, weak to water. And both with 270 HP. This is actually interesting as well. It is a Ceruledge, so it evolves from Armouge. Oh, I didn't say. I said there's gonna be like 2 Sylveons. So there's gonna be one of each evolution. Oh, also I'm doing a contest on my Discord server where you can like submit evolution cards. Anyway, or evolution EXs because I'm doing something with that. Anyway, so this is like it's interesting. There's another Ceruledge, there's some Armouges, so that's kind of cool. You could do like an Armouge box, but I don't know if that makes a lot of sense. You can use Luminous Energy to pay one of the attack costs of Amethyst Rage, but you can only use one because if you have a second special energy, it just turns off. You can do Luminous Energy, Fire Energy, because you can Magma Basin, and then the tool or maybe the supporter, some form of support. So those are options. I don't know. I don't know exactly how good the second attack is. It seems kind of sketchy. I feel like you just build around the first attack, which is a pretty solid attack. I think Ceruledge EX is a pretty cool card. Should be going in with the Armouge like box style decks, which are really fun decks in my opinion. But anyways, those are those Stellar EXs, which are going to be in I don't know, they're going in a mini set in Japan. I don't know how they're coming out in English. They'll probably be part of just the main set. Okay, they're coming out August 30th in like their special decks in Japan. So anyway, then we have one last card, which is Deluxe Bomb, which is a really interesting card, I guess. I know some people will love this card. I imagine they will. I am not a big fan of this style of card, but it's if you're damaged, it's a tool, it's an ace spec. If this Pokemon is in the active and damaged by an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, even if it's knocked out, put 12 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon, then discard this card. I'm not a big fan of like ace specs that tools that get discarded. There's also survival brace, but it does do like a good chunk of damage. 12 damage counters is good. It's not like insane though. Well, it's pretty good. I mean, if your opponent's got Cramorant, they just hit you and then they just like they get exploded. They just get knocked out instantly. But and then if you're playing like Charizard, you actually get hit into, then really you're just knocking out whatever you're hitting into or whatever hit into you, which then you'll hit into doing like 180 or whatever. If you're doing 210, then you're essentially knocking out everything plus the 120. So Deluxe Bomb, okay. I'm not a big fan of like the Lucky Helmet. No, sorry, Rocky Helmet. Not Lucky Helmet either, but Rocky Helmet. There's another race spec like this called something. I don't remember what it was called, but anyway, some cool cards here. Not too much to say about this last one. Although, ace specs, they're always cool, I guess. But then yeah, I'm excited for the root fossil. Yeah. But there's some pretty cool cards, some control cards, some not control cards. But I hope you enjoyed. Get started liking, subscribing, hitting the bell, and oh, I also posted another video today. I accidentally posted it earlier than usual, but then I was like, oh wait, it's doing well, so I kept it up. But I also want a video near my regular time, so this is why I'm recording this video. I was going to do it anyway, but I'll be talking about these cards more in the podcast. But I hope you enjoyed, and as always, I'm excited to see you in the next episode and video. This is not the podcast, the next video and the next podcast episode where I talk about these more.